a powerful floor speech to end it with for the evening. But ultimately, it's you, our members in the audience, who make these debates. You're not just spectators, you're active participants. And the debates are at their best in this chamber when you participate. So thank you to you, the members, for such a lively number of round of floor speeches tonight. Now we're moving to our final round of paper speakers. So in proposition of this motion, for the final time, we have Zack Polanski. Zack is the Deputy Leader of the Green Party, a member of the London Assembly, and was a delegate at COP26. Zack, you have the ears of the House.
Thank you. I first want to start by admiring the passion of the abstention. That was one of the most articulate and excited abstentions I've ever heard, including the person up there on the balcony too. I've never seen someone on a balcony want to abstain before. That was real passion too. Thank you. We've had a learned debate tonight. We've had Dante's Inferno, we've had Animal Farm, we've had Machiavelli. I want to push that up by talking about BBC Claudia Winkleman's The Traitors. Because the Labour Party are not 100% faithful. And in fact, I want to make the argument for why they have to be banished. And joking aside, as the Deputy Leader of the Green Party, it's my MO to talk positively about vision and hope and about why the Green Party is the future. And I want to talk to the person up there who doesn't like the Labour Party but is still voting Labour Party. That doesn't make sense. Let's talk afterwards. But quite seriously, I like to talk about hope and passion, and not the Labour Party so much, but I've been invited to talk about the Labour Party, so here we go. You make a really good point over here, a young man from Islington. First of all, the elephant in the room is the fact that you could do British political history in reverse backwards at the speed you did it, and it was very impressive, and I don't feel like anyone's noted that. But I think the point you made about the trade, whether it's in the past, whether it's a long period or whether it's a short period, is a really key point here, and I want to answer that point. So the first place I want to go is one of the things I'm proudest of as an elected politician. When I was first elected to the London Assembly, I stood with a group of care workers. This group of care workers were working right through the pandemic. They were working hard to keep our cities running when most of us were safe, locked up in our homes, keeping safe from COVID. They were out there every single day and they weren't given a lift to their wages. When they complained to the CEO about how hard they were working, they were offered cold pizza. Now, this group of care workers unionised. They got together with an amazing union called United Voices of the World. This union represents low-paid black and brown migrant workers across the city. They got in touch with me. Other politicians had ignored them and said, will you stand in solidarity? I know that when working class people, be they migrant workers or people wherever they're from, when they ask for solidarity, the only authentic response is to give it. So I turned up with them on the picket line, I brought TV news and media, and eventually they won. They are now among the highest paid care workers in London. And my point of this story is that trade unions work, solidarity works. At the same time, we had a Labour leader, and let's say that word one more time, a Labour leader, who was telling his MPs not to go on picket lines. He was saying that people who are preparing for government don't stand on picket lines. I'm sorry, as a representative politician, my number one job, and the clue's in the title, is to represent people. And how can you represent people, particularly working class people, if you're not literally willing to stand side by side to them and listen to their concerns? Now, I can hear an objection here would be standing side by side is not winning and not getting what they wanted. Of course it's not. You also need to win power, and I'll deal with that in a second. But ultimately, what are you winning power for if you're not listening to people? What are you winning power for if you don't have the vision, the hope, the tangible action plan for success? And Labour don't have that. And that's not just my words. You hear it all the time from the Labour shadow front bench. We're not offering a lot of hope. You know, it's quite hard, it's bleak. There's no money left. We keep hearing this phrase. There's no money left. Let me tell you, friends, I think you probably know this. There is a lot of wealth in this country. There is a huge amount of wealth in this country. And it is a political choice to not have a wealth tax, to not challenge the super rich multimillionaires and billionaires, but instead to implement austerity 2.0. I could end my speech here, I'm not going to, but I can't think of any stronger point than a Labour leader being prepared to carry on Thatcherism, Cameronism, Trussism, Sunakism. I haven't checked these isms, but they all work. But the point is this: the opposition is meant to oppose. Now, I know they've not been in government, but if you refuse to present an alternative vision, if your vision is just a little bit more of the same, but a little bit nicer, not quite as nasty, that's not okay. We heard the point over here from Chris about how the NHS had saved his life. Yet we have a shadow front bench who were talking about privatisation, who were talking about outsourcing. It is vital, both for the working class, but frankly for our entire population, that our public services remain public. And I think it was someone over here who knocked. In fact, it was our fellow speaker, and thank you to the student speakers, by the way. I naturally agree over here more, but you were both great. We talk as if nationalisation is something impossible, as if it's this impossible dream. We had nationalisation. We privatised our water companies, and they got put in immense debt. That money was going to their shareholders and dividends. This is not some impossible dream or some wild idea. We can have the things we want if we choose to vote for them. Now, I'm in danger at this point of turning into a party political broadcast, and I'm not going to. But what I will say for 30 seconds is that the Green Party, over the last 2 years, since 2019, have over quadrupled their number of seats at the local council level. This is even under first past the post. We have proven time and time again that we can and we do win. We are targeting seats, and those people in those seats, by voting Green all across the country, that is a vote to tackle the climate crisis. It's a vote to tackle the inequality crisis. It's not a cost of living crisis, by the way. Some people are doing perfectly well out of it. It's an inequality crisis. And it's a vote for proportional representation. Because the point over here about past Labour leaders losing, they didn't lose. Well, they did lose, that is true. Sometimes hear what you say and go, nah, don't agree with that. What lost, though, and where we all lose, is the broken first past the post voting system. That voting system that forces, yes, that does deserve a clap. That is the voting system that forces people to pick the better of two evils. We heard it tonight from the intervention over here. You know, Keir Starmer isn't great, but kind of what we're stuck with, so vote for him. I think we can lift our sights higher than that. I think we can ask for more than that. I think we all deserve better than that, but no one deserves better than that. More than marginalised groups in this society. Sure, I heard point of order. My vision isn't good enough. Where did it come from? Hit me. Not literally, but... Is that someone else? Go.
Mr. Polanski, continue with his speech.
Sure. I'd love to respond to that directly. You were surrounded by a halo, but what you were saying was not angelic. Keir Starmer was challenged in a similar way, just like this. But it was by a group of student activists. They were climate activists. They put Keir Starmer on the spot and asked him about the very future of this planet, of ecological collapse, of climate breakdown. What was Keir Starmer's response, his instinctive response? I'm on the side of economic growth. Economic growth has destroyed this country. And in fact, when you look at GDP, even the person who created the idea or designed the idea of GDP says this is a terrible way to measure the well-being of a country. What about our mental health? What about cohesive communities? What about dealing with the disability pay gap, the ethnicity pay gap, the gender pay gap? These are crucial things that we should be prioritising. And when you talk about just build, build, build for the sake of it, it is a denial of the existential crisis we face. Point of order over here.
How will you pay for your solutions to any of those problems?
Thank you very much. So there's lots of ways, but one of the first ways we could look at is a wealth tax. If you do a 1% tax on the wealthiest 1%, that would raise about £75 billion a year that you could put straight back into green investment. Thank you very much. That's the thing I can ignore, right? No. We also need to look at things like a universal basic income, looking at how people can work differently, a 4-day working week. Because to conclude, Keir Starmer couldn't even define what the working class was. For me, it's very clear. It's people who don't have choice over their lives, who feel like they don't have power or autonomy about the things that they do. And I want to finish with this. You made the most important point tonight: intersectionality. There is no environmental justice without social, racial, and economic justice too. These things are all interconnected. And until we accept that in this country, we need a movement that is progressive, that is socially just, that cares about the planet, and is fiscally responsible, but only as much as we need to keep the economy moving, but does not prioritize it above the planet. All of these things are there in the waiting. Labour could have done this for a long time. They've chosen not to. They've chosen to defend first past the post, and that's exactly why Labour have betrayed the working class. Thank you.